Hi, I'm Ravi Raj, and this is Talking with Legends in Kitchen.
हेलो व्यूअर्स, फन इन द किचन के इस सेलिब्रिटी शो में आज हमारे मेहमान हैं भारत में ऑस्ट्रिया के राजदूत डॉक्टर हर्बर्ट ट्रैक्सल। डॉक्टर हर्बर्ट ट्रैक्सल सिर्फ हमारे मेहमान नहीं, ये हमारे भारत के मेहमान हैं, क्योंकि इन्होंने यहाँ की मशहूर डांसर, कथक डांसर शोभना नारायण जी से शादी की है। डॉक्टर हर्बर्ट ट्रैक्सल पहली बार 1975 में इंडिया आए और यहाँ 1980 तक रहे। इसी दौरान उनकी मुलाकात शोभना जी से हुई और ये मुलाकात शादी में बदली 1982 में। सो व्यूअर्स, आज हमारे इस प्रोग्राम में हम आपकी मुलाकात कराते हैं डॉक्टर ट्रैक्सल से और करते हैं ढेर सारी दिलचस्प बातें। तो लेट्स मीट डॉक्टर हर्बर्ट ट्रैक्सल। टुडे वी हैव विद अस अ स्पेशल गेस्ट ऑन आवर शो who is ambassador to India from Austria. He is Dr. Herbert Traxel. Welcome, sir, on our show.
I'm most happy to be here. Hello.
We are very grateful to you have taken out so much of precious time for us to come to us. So tell us, you have been visiting India very frequently. So is there any secret behind it?
I've been visiting India quite frequently. You're quite right, you know. I came to India at first on a professional basis in 1975. And then, you see, I fell in love not only with India, but also with an Indian lady. I got married here, and so I had a very good reason to come back, not to say that I was unhappy about it.
Okay. What do you find very good thing about her?
About her,
Yeah.
that she's a lovely person.
You were so busy in your job and she was busy in her job.
Very
How did you
much so.
find time for family and job and
You see, I think one does. I mean, in a way, being married means also that you share the pleasures and the sorrows of the other. Now, we did it for a long time on distance, but the distance didn't take away the intensity. I mean, one always doesn't have to be sitting all the time. Of course, it's nice, but with the other, you can communicate also on distance. We did that. And so you share also the other's burden, the other's pleasure.
what's common do you find in Indian food and Austrian food, Indian culture and Austrian culture?
You see, with the food, I would have to think to find common in a way is food should be there to nourish and to please. Every kitchen, every cuisine does it in his way. We have our certain traditions. Our kitchen, however, is more, I won't say only meat-centered, but meat plays much more role than it does in by and large, most of the Indian different cuisines. I mean, you can't say there's one Indian cuisine. There are so many different local kitchens also. What I find fascinating as a European coming to India in Indian food is the variety of spices, how you work with the spices, how you work with colors. We work with milder spices. So I would say there's very much in common, except the pleasure of creating something in the kitchen and doing something.
So do you like cooking?
I do a little bit of cooking because, you know, I was forced to do it since I was a bachelor for quite a long time before I got married to Shobna. So, I mean, I had to have my little bit of household. I didn't do very elaborate cooking, but I could, let's say, I could do a little bit more than just fried eggs. Food, drink, and company is something which gets together in my mind very, very much.
Dr. Herbert, tell us one thing. You have been married for so long. Do you know Hindi? Can you understand Hindi?
You know, I mean, I have to follow the example of my wife because she is quite fluent in German. I do understand a little bit, and I have now gotten down fairly serious in learning Hindi since a couple of months.
How do you find Bihar?
For me, it is rather the memory, the cradle of the history of India, the cradle of the culture of India. I mean, Patna, I mean, in my mind still is Patliputra, the capital of the Maurya and of the Gupta period.
Bihar.
I've been to Bihar 2-3 times. Patna, and then also went to Bodh Gaya, and we went to Nalanda, this famous, beautiful ruins of the old university. I have not yet been to her mother's place, but I've been. Patna basically is where the family comes from in the long run.
How do you correlate Alps and Himalayas?
As an Austrian, I have a lot of feeling for the mountains. I've been trekking and doing easy climbing myself when I was a young student. Now, Alps and Himalayas. The Himalayas for us were always a dream. The greatest possible mountain range in the world. The Alps are a fantastic mountain range. They are much lower. However, we are more to the north. We have our harsh climates and our strong winters. But let me see, for me the Himalayas are really the father of all dreams of mountaineers in the world.
Okay, for trekking, I think we need to have food. So let's move to the kitchen and cook something.
We'll try best. As you say, one should not work with empty stomach.
Okay.
I'll follow you.
Dr. Harbert, we welcome you once again on our show. Sir, tell us what dish you're going to make today. Like what spices you're going to make, use.
Okay, I'll tell you. What I thought, what I might do today was something which I had done when I was a younger student, when I was in a bachelor household. I was looking after myself. So it had to be something which is not too complicated, which is nice, of course. One likes to eat good food all the time, and which doesn't take too much time. However, one very special Viennese dish is something called Wiener Schnitzel. Now, origin actually goes back to Milano. But some centuries back, we kind of integrated that, adopted it into our kitchen. It's basically a schnitzel, which means a thin piece of meat of a certain part. Back home, we usually use pork for that. But in India, I thought I'll use the adaptation, which is that you use chicken.
Chicken. Okay.
Chicken, you have to use chicken breast, basically. A very nice piece of chicken, and you have to prepare it in a certain way. The main ingredients are that you have got a nice piece of chicken, which has to be prepared, we'll come to that, that you need a little bit of egg, a little bit of flour, and a little bit of breadcrumbs, you know, those grinded breadcrumbs. Yeah. Salt, of course, pepper, I mean, that's the usual. And then at the end you have to deep fry it, and for that you need a good plant oil, which you use, a frying oil, good quality, of course.
Good quality.
Should be. And with a Wiener, I call it a chicken Wiener.
Chicken Wiener.
Chicken Wiener. With a chicken Wiener, a traditional way, what you eat is a potato salad.
Do you find any correlation between spices, Indian spices and...
You know, for us, Indian spices used to be very exotic. I mean, this was a big attraction centuries back, that the Europeans imported their spices from India. One very, very precious thing at that time was what today everybody considers very normal, pepper. We didn't have pepper.
Do you use turmeric?
Not in our traditional kitchen. Not in our traditional kitchen, wouldn't be. What we use a lot in traditional kitchen, for example, would be garlic.
Garlic.
Of course. I mean, onion is not a spice, but garlic, again, it's not a proper spice. You'll use pepper. You lose sometimes a bit of chili, not very much. But basically we refine ourselves to that. We'll use mustard, of course, or things like that. Mustard at the end is also something which comes from a spice.
Yeah. So let's
start.
Yeah.
Right. Now, as I said, you should use a chicken breast, a good quality one, and then you should first, of course, clean it from those pieces of fat or something, which are not always very conducive to be eaten. Then cut it to a middle-sized piece.
Half.
About half. I mean, this is a small piece of breast which I'm using. Okay. And then you should do one thing, because the final product should be, as I've done that before, fairly thin. The meat should be thin and tender. Now, to do it thin and tender, you cut a little bit, the knife is good, and then start to open it up. You see?
Slice it?
In a way, slice it, and by doing that, doing it a bit a bit larger. When you have prepared it, as I've said that, you also take one of those meat hammers and, hoppala, now let me get it properly, and flatten it. As I say, the sense would be make it thin and tender. It should not be, I mean, the meat shouldn't stay tough. That way. Hoppala, that we'll put to the side. Now, when you have done that, a very light pinch of salt, not too much, not too heavy.
On the both sides.
On both sides. Very light pinch of salt. This is how basically you just prepare the piece of meat for cooking. One thing one has always to consider about the size of the piece, when you finally deep fry it, it will shrink. Now, for example, you could make that also for parties where you just have small pieces which you can pop directly.
Yeah.
So it would be a little bit smaller. When you do it for eating at a table or something for dinner, make it a little bit larger.
Okay.
Now, the next step is that you, let me get that you need also, I think I forgot to mention, you need a fresh egg, which you put in here. Yeah, thank you. And that egg, where is it? Should be mixed. The yellow and the white should be mixed. So does it sufficiently like that. Then again, a little bit of salt, pinch of salt with it, and also a small crowding of pepper. I think my small became a bit bigger, but since we're in India, use of spice is something rather important. Europeans might not agree so much with that. Yeah, now after that, the next preparation is also put some flour on one plate. Hoppala, let me see. And put some of the breadcrumbs on the other plate. So let me see. Now, all right. Now you take the meat which we had prepared, and first you drench it a bit in the egg. Then pull it through the flour. Then pull it again through the egg. It's a little bit, has to be a bit more intense. Pull it again
in the flour. Okay.
In the flour. Let me see that we do it properly. Yeah. Now, when you have done that, now you put it finally in the breadcrumbs. And there I think I'll need a bit more of breadcrumbs. Where are they? Yeah. Fine. So it has to be fully covered with breadcrumbs. When you have done that, the meat is prepared for frying.
So now you use some potato.
Now I'll use some potato, we'll do a potato salad. Okay. What you use is potatoes, which of course, you have to get the right potatoes. Shouldn't be too soft potatoes, should be rather solid ones, a bit harder ones.
Bigger?
Not too big, not too big. Medium to smallish. Smallish is a lot of work when you have to peel it, terrible. Okay. So as I said, you take the potatoes and basically you slice them into fairly thin. It shouldn't be too thick. Is also pieces of onion, again slightly sliced, thinly sliced. So that, as I said, you go in with the parts which are still nice and tasty. The rest you leave aside. And again, mix it under the potatoes.
Okay.
What, of course, with all those kind of things is important is a little bit of salting, but not too much. A little bit of salt. And what is important is, if you want to do it with oil and vinegar, The major thing is, again, as I said before, use good quality ingredients.
Okay.
And use, if I get it off, all those complicated technologies. I probably screw it in the wrong direction. Yeah. Use, as I said, some olive oil. Quantity about 2 to 1. To oil, and you do it according to your rule of the thumb. And a bit of the vinegar. Little bit of course, salt. Not too much, not good for blood pressure. As I said, I mean, mix well the oil and the vinegar.
So you're telling...
I'm doing it basically, you know, I don't have any particular rules for myself.
you were saying if you
quantity.
use it other than pepper, something else.
No, you could also for a green salad. Of course, I would put a bit of mustard into it.
Okay.
But at that, we do it like that.
So now I think everything is done.
Yeah, we have prepared the meat.
Okay.
And now we have to go over to the stove and cook the meat.
And then eat it.
This, of course, is the pleasure of the end.
So, Dr. Ahmed, now let's start.
Now it becomes very serious, it becomes hot, you know. Basically what you do, you have to go to a stove, of course. What you should use, I think I'd mentioned that before, a good oil of plant origin, say sunflower oil or something like that.
Better olive oil? No.
No, for frying, for deep frying, I would not use olive oil, basically. But again, the question of taste. Now, that you take in a liberal, not too much, it shouldn't be too heavy, but in a liberal quantity, and heat it up, of course. And when it's heated, as you know, one point of the, yeah, you see it makes a little bit of that, so it should be ready. You take the meat which we had prepared before and put it into the oil. It should be kind of slightly floating on it. And let it cook about 1.5 to 2 minutes on each side.
Okay.
So, you see, this has been now, as I said, been turned around, been cooked on both sides. As you see, it gets slightly brown. And this is when it's ready, as I said, and this is a Wiener, a chicken Wiener.
Okay.
Which, by the way, you should eat. What you can add to it is no sauce.
No sauce.
Little bit of lime, and put, before you eat, a few drops of lime on it, with a potato salad, which we are doing here, and either mayonnaise or vinegar-based potato salad. It's a simple, light, and not very unhealthy food.
So tell us about Shobnaji's liking about Austrian food, and your son.
Shobna got used to our food, but every now and then, when she stays for a longer time in Vienna, she wants to have a little bit of desi food. I mean, it's, her desi food,
do you
of course.
get the Indian stuff there?
Fairly easy. Fairly easy. This was not the case about 20 years back. But today, I mean, even I know about 3-4 shops in Vienna which sell, I mean, you get Bindi, you get all kind of, you get Kingfisher beer if you want, or some other Indian beer. You get, as I said, you get all kind of spices.
And how about your son?
Our boy is in that way very, very open. He loves, of course, as a young child of 15, junk food is something important, hamburgers and all that. But equally much, he loves, sorry, at the moment I'm blocked, not dosa, but...
Utpam?
No, utpam. Idli, sorry, I forgot to say, idli samba. That's his, what he really likes a lot. I mean, you give him idli in the morning, he'll jump on it. So whenever he comes to Delhi to visit us, to stay with us, he will have his idlis.
Dr. Herbert, tell us, how do you feel when people appreciate Shobnaji's, and how popular she is there in Austria?
I mean, I feel great when I see how much her art, her knowing, her presentation, her personality, and her art is appreciated. In Vienna, she has done quite a number of performances, and one thing which I think was very, very important was she did a 1-hour transmission on Indian classical dance, but with her as the main figure in Austrian television. It was a special production of Austrian television, together with some also Austrian director, not dancers.
Oh, okay.
She did with the director, but then she did a little bit of cultural cooperation.
Yeah.
She presented her style, Kathak and all the traditions of Kathak. Her students, they had shot also in Delhi, but they also then did one or two pieces on the basis of European, Austrian
So
in
there
that
is
case.
relation
classical
between
music.
Kathak
Well, you
and-
can do it
Yeah.
because what you express is sentiments.
Yeah.
Everywhere in dance, what you do is sentiments, and what you do is a lot of movements which again are similar. In Kathak, you might do this.
Do you like Hindi, English, German? What films do you like?
Okay, I mean, I'm rather open. Hindi films, I don't know very many, but I very much remember this was when I stayed here for the first time, the Amar Akbar Anthony.
Amar
Yeah,
Akbar.
I've even seen it recently somewhere in the movie theaters. Basically, I'm a buff of old movies like the old Charlie Chaplin and the old Buster Keaton movies.
I think the chicken is sounding very good. The chicken Vienna. Can I have the pleasure of having it?
Please have something. I hope we haven't poisoned you with that.
No.
Now, we need, of course,
I'll have it in the hand.
you have it with a hand, by all means. It should be tender enough to break it off. Now give me a little bit. I have to see what we have done here.
It's very crispy,
Together.
very
Hoppala.
good. It's delicious. I think I have not had chicken like this in my life. Dr. Herbert, we are very grateful that you came to our show, taking out some time for us, I think a lot of time for us, and cooking some nice food. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. Happy to be with your show and lots of wishes for the future.
Thank you, sir. So viewers, how do you like our program? I think you liked it today. Was it interesting? I guess so. See you next week, same time, same channel. Bye for now.